Genomic stratification starts with pre-implantation genetic testing, where embryos are ranked by polygenic risk scores for intelligence and metabolic health. These enhancements are no longer temporary medical interventions, but hereditary changes that lock superiority into the germline of specific wealthy family lineages. Wealthy individuals can now purchase biological resilience, allowing them to bypass the natural limits of human aging through telomere restoration and cellular reprogramming. The price of entry for these modifications creates a biological barrier where the cost of a single gene therapy exceeds the lifetime earnings of average citizens. Cognitive divergence follows as neural interfaces and synaptic optimizations increase information processing speeds by several orders of magnitude compared to unaugmented humans.
Beyond health, parents select for aesthetic traits and physical stamina using clustered, regularly interspaced short palindromic repeats to delete perceived genetic liabilities before birth. The epigenetic clock is no longer an inevitable countdown, but a variable that can be reset through expensive systemic infusions of youthful biological factors. Wealth enables the proactive replacement of failing biological organs with synthetic versions that offer superior filtration and oxygenation compared to natural human biology. Enhanced humans expand their sensory range to perceive ultraviolet light and ultrasonic frequencies, creating a fundamentally different experience of reality from the unaugmented population. Metabolic optimization allows for the consumption of diverse fuel sources and near-perfect nutrient absorption, reducing the physiological stress of environmental scarcity.
As the life expectancy of the wealthy approaches centuries, the short lives of the unenhanced begin to appear like a different biological life cycle altogether. Reproductive isolation emerges as the enhanced choose partners with compatible genetic upgrades to ensure their offspring maintain the competitive advantages of their lineage. The introduction of artificial chromosomes allows for a higher degree of genomic stability, but renders the enhanced population biologically incompatible with natural human deoxyribonucleic acid. Cognitive decoupling occurs when the enhanced possess mental faculties that allow for complex mathematical intuition and memory recall that the unenhanced cannot comprehend or replicate. Society transforms into a rigid biological caste system, where a person's potential is dictated by the quality of the genetic sequences their parents could afford. Regulatory arbitrage allows the wealthy to travel to offshore clinics, where restrictions on radical genetic experimentation do not apply, accelerating the pace of human divergence. The post-human transition marks the point where the physiological and mental differences between the two groups are greater than the differences between humans and chimpanzees. Enhanced humans utilize genetic switches to modulate emotional responses, allowing for extreme focus and stress management that natural hormones cannot sustain without biological fatigue.
Intracellular nanotechnology provides real-time repair of deoxyribonucleic acid damage from radiation and toxins, a luxury that preserves the genomic integrity of the upper class. Evolutionary biologists predict that if gene flow between the groups remains restricted for 20 generations, the genetic drift will result in true biological speciation. The labor market shifts to favor the enhanced, as companies require cognitive and physical performance levels that are mathematically impossible for unaugmented individuals to achieve. High-bandwidth brain-machine interfaces provide the wealthy with direct access to the global information network, turning their minds into nodes of a larger collective artificial intelligence. Wealthy elites use neurological modifications to compress the benefits of 8 hours of sleep into 2 hours, granting them more productive time than the average human. Genetic myostatin inhibition allows the enhanced to maintain high muscle mass and low body fat without exercise, creating a physical elite that is naturally stronger and faster. Mitochondrial replacement therapy provides the enhanced with higher cellular energy levels, allowing for sustained physical and mental activity without the typical human experience of burnout. When biological superiority is inherited, the concept of social mobility dies, as no amount of education can compensate for the hardware limitations of a natural genome. The enhanced begin to live in exclusive environments with optimized air pressure and nutrient-rich atmospheres designed for their specific physiological requirements, further isolating them from humanity. Space colonization becomes the ultimate catalyst for speciation, as the wealthy adapt their biology for low gravity and high radiation environments, unsuitable for natural humans. By integrating genes from radiation-resistant organisms like Deinococcus radiodurans, the new elite can survive cosmic rays that would be fatal to the unenhanced population. These new genetic sequences are often patented corporate properties, meaning that the very existence of the enhanced is tied to multi-billion-dollar intellectual property agreements.
The risk of off-target genetic mutations remains, but for the wealthy, these risks are mitigated by constant real-time cellular sequencing and corrective biological patches. A black market for genetic enhancements emerges, where the middle class uses unverified tools to keep up, often resulting in biological instability and chronic genetic diseases. The mental divergence may lead to a neurological loss of empathy toward the unenhanced, as the superior species views the natural humans as an archaic evolutionary phase. Governments struggle to decide if genetic upgrades should be a universal right or a private luxury, leading to civil unrest and the formation of neo-Luddite movements. Insurance companies now require full genomic disclosure, creating a world where those born with natural liabilities are uninsurable and excluded from the modern economy. Memory augmentation technology allows the elite to store vast amounts of data directly in their neural tissue, effectively eliminating the human need for external study. The ultimate wealth gap is the transition to digital immortality, where the mind is uploaded to a server substrate, bypassing biological death entirely, while the poor remain mortal. Substrate independence allows the post-human species to exist in diverse physical forms, from robotic shells to purely digital environments, further distancing them from the human form. The Great Decoupling is the historical moment when the enhanced and the natural populations no longer share a common biological or social future on Earth. Pre-zygotic isolation occurs naturally, as the cultural and physiological differences make physical intimacy between the groups undesirable and socially prohibited. Future generations of gene shears will work on the living adult body, allowing for on-demand biological modifications that respond to immediate environmental needs for those who can pay. Advanced cellular power plants integrated into the cytoplasm provide the enhanced with the stamina to work for days without rest, creating a significant economic advantage. If the trend continues, the unenhanced Homo sapiens may eventually become an endangered or protected species, living in historical preserves, while the posthumans dominate the galaxy. The struggle for genetic equity will be the defining civil rights issue of the next millennium, determining if humanity remains one species or many. We are witnessing the first instance of a species using its own economic systems to direct its biological evolution toward a permanent internal split. Homo optimus is the proposed name for this new species, characterized by multi-century lifespans, total immunity to disease, and a neural capacity for direct data interface. The divergence is not just about bodies, but about the very nature of consciousness, as different species will possess fundamentally different ways of feeling and thinking. Global governance will require new legal frameworks to define what constitutes a human and what rights apply to a being with synthetic or modified biology. The ultimate outcome is the birth of the first non-natural intelligent species on Earth, born from the union of radical technology and concentrated global wealth. The monopoly of Homo sapiens over the planet is ending, replaced by a landscape of biological diversity, where the divide is drawn in the letters of the genetic code.